Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। Namaste once again, everyone. And
Namaste, Guruji. Pranam.
Wish you all a very, very happy Shankara Jayanti today.
Yes, yes Guruji. To you and everyone, to Guruji.
You have to.
Such an auspicious day.
Yeah, it's a very auspicious day. We have to thank Adi Shankara for reviving our entire tradition. You know, Sanatana Dharma tradition, which was going down the drain. And with, countless number of works, and within, a very short span of 32 years of life. No doubt it's Ishvara's avatara only that has presented it. And we are all today here able to actually learn something of our dharma, Sanatana Dharma, only because of the work of Adi Shankara. So let us pay our respects and pray to Adi Shankara to keep blessing us for further progress in our spiritual path. Yeah. So with those words, we will start the class. Nidra kalpita desha kala vishaya yatradi sarvam yatha mithya tadvat ihapi jagrati jagat स्वाज्ञान कार्यत्वतः यस्मादेवमिदं शरीरकरण प्राणाहमाध्यसत् तस्मात् तत्त्वमसि प्रशान्तममलं ब्रह्माद्वयं यत्परम्. So in the 81st sloka, the Acharya presented the summary of the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad in a very condensed form, talking about creation and the relationship between the creator and the created. The Upanishad says the cause or karanam is the satyam, because that alone remains in all three periods of time. Karyam, the products, are mithya because they do not exist in all three periods of time. All products have a date of birth and the date of death or date of destruction, whatever you may call. And it also emphasizes that the cause always pervades the product. All that is produced of clay, like the pot, etc., is always nothing but clay all through. Therefore, the cause is the content and the products are merely names and forms of the cause. The cause remains the same in all three periods of time, whereas the products undergo a change. Therefore, cause is the truth, the reality, and products are as though real, because they depend on the cause for their existence. And the Upanishad establishes this logic with the help of three examples, which we saw: clay and earthenware example, gold and ornaments example, and iron and hardware example. Three examples the Upanishad dealt with. And extending this logic to the relationship between Sat, which is pure existence or Brahman, and Jagat, the world, and taking Brahman or Sat as the cause, the Upanishad says that all that is born of Sat, having its being in Sat, is nothing but Sat alone. Because there is nothing other than Sat, that Sat is the truth. That is itself the Atma, the self. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman, which is pure existence and pure consciousness, being the cause of the world, is the truth. And the world, which is a product, is dependent upon Brahman for its existence. The world does not exist on its own. And thus, the Upanishad validates the statement, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, and establishes that the non-duality, or establishes the non-duality or oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. In the 82nd sloka, the Acharya, 82nd sloka, which is under discussion now, Acharya uses a different example to draw the same conclusion. He uses the example used by Gaudapadacharya in Mandukya Karika, which is the example of dream to establish the Mithyatvam of the world. Gaudapadacharya is the grand guru of Shankaracharya. But Shankaracharya is the Sishya of Govindapadacharya, who is the Sishya of Gaudapadacharya. So he is a grand guru. Guru, grand guru. So in this sloka, it is pointed out that as all that is created in dream, like space, time, object, knower, etc., is not real, similarly, in the waking state, the world being a product is also not real. And because of this reason, this body, mind, sense complex, prana, ahankara, etc., are also not real. And since Brahman is the only reality and pervades all products, therefore, you are that non-dual Brahman, which is free from modifications, impurity, and limitations. And this is said in this sloka. Nidra kalpita desha kala vishaya jnatradi sarvam. The entire dream world, Swapna Jagat, consisting of desha, dream space, kala, dream time, vishaya, dream beings and objects, yatradi, the experiencer, etc., all of them are nidra kalpitam. They are projected falsely by the waker with the help of nidra shakti. On waking up, when the nidra shakti vanishes, we understand that the dream world was only an appearance, a projection by the waker, and the dream world had dependence on the waker for its existence, and therefore it was all mithya. And having stated this, the Acharya draws a parallel with the world which we experience and which we, due to our ignorance, we take it as real. And therefore he says, and this is from here we have to see, Yatha mithya tadvat iha api jagrati jagat. Yatha, exactly like that. Tadvat, in the same way. Iha api jagrati. In the waking state also, in the Jagrat Avastha also, Mithya Jagat, the entire universe consisting of Desha Kala Vishaya and Jnatradi. Where here also we have got space, time, and objects and knower, etc. You can add whatever things are not coming in this four, everything else in this universe. But these are basic. Time and space are required because those are the coordinates. Subject and object are required. Then alone transactions are possible. So time, space, subject, object, all of them are indicated by the word Jagat. Mithya means unreal. But it is unreal for whom? It is unreal for the Jnani, super waker alone. For an Ajnani, it is as real as the dream was in the dream world. The waking world is as real in the waking world, but with borrowed reality. So, whenever we say here mithya, remember that it is a mithya for a jnani, a super waker only. So, Jagrati Jagat Mithya. Why? Because he says Swa Ajnana Karyatvataha. Swa Ajnanam here means Mula Vidya. I hope you remember these terms. We used this term Mula Vidya when we were discussing Karana Shariram. I talked about 4 words, if you remember. Avyaktam, Shakti, Mula Vidya, Maya. They are all used in the same sense only in the Shastra. So here, Ajnanam refers to Mula Vidya or Maya. So Ajnanam, this Maya of Brahman. But another interesting point is, the Jnani doesn't say Brahman's Maya. He does not say Ishwara's Maya. Because Jnani has woken up, he is a super waker. He knows that I am Brahman, I am Ishwara, I am a super waker. Therefore, he can say, by my Maya, by my, Mula Vidya. Thus, a Jnani, is a double role player. He can play both roles. On the one hand, he can say, I am the waker. With my Nidra Shakti, I project the dream world. He can also say, I am the super waker. With my Maya Shakti, I project this empirical world. So Jnani has got a double advantage. Both worlds, the dream world and the waking world are mithya. But the means of projection vary. One is through Nidra Shakti, another is through Maya Shakti. That's the only difference. But both have got borrowed reality only. Both are only, as we say, relatively real. Dream world is real in relation to the dreamer. Waker's world is real in relation to the waker. But both of them are unreal in relation to the super waker Jnani. So, Swa-Ajnana Karyatvataha. Since they are one's own projections, they are both mithya. Tasmat mithya, he says. So this Tasmat mithya, we have to connect Yasmat evam idam sharira karana prana ahamadi asat. So Yasmat evam idam. And since the entire universe is mithya, you cannot say the world is mithya, but my body is satyam. The body is also part of the created world. Mind is a part of the created world. Sense organs are part of the created world. Therefore, idam sharira karana prana ahamadhi. Shariram means the sula shariram, the gross body. Karana means the sense organs, all instruments. Then pancha prana. Aham means buddhi or vijnanamaya kosha, ahankara. Adi means all of them, etc. The Adi can include Sanchita karma, Agami karma, Prarabdha karma, everything can be included because they are all products in the empirical world. If a person in dream, if a person does some karma and he is reaping the result also in the dream itself, both of them belong to the dream plane only. Whatever karma you do in the dream doesn't cross over to the waking world. So for the dream, in the dream world, all karma, karma phalam, both are mithya. All this Adi Shankara indicates by the word Adi, all of them. Api asat. Asat means mithya. So everything is mithya. In short, whatever I experience is mithya. I experience the dream world, so dream world is mithya. The dream body, mind, sense complex is mithya. Waker's world is mithya because I experience the waker's world. Waker's body, mind, sense complex is mithya. Therefore, whatever I experience is mithya. What I do not experience, what my real self is, which I do not experience at all, that is my reality. Tasmat tat tvam asi, he says. So naturally, now the question comes that if everything is mithya, everything is borrowed reality, then there must be some satyam principle to lend the reality. Otherwise, what will happen? And this is where some Buddhist sects have gone, they've gone wrong. They have got what they call the Shunyavada. According to them, if you take the entire world as mithya, nothing else exists. But Shankaracharya, of course, refutes that. He says, if nothing exists, the world, which is something, cannot come out of nothing. There has got to be something which should be existing for something to be produced. So if you accept that the world is a product, then there should be a cause. That's a logical argument Shankaracharya forwards. So he dismisses the Shunyavada of the Buddhism. And therefore he says, everything experienced is mithya, but I, the Sakshi Chaitanyam, called the changeless experiencer of everything, alone is Satyam. Everything else is experienced, including the body, mind, sense complex. And whatever is experienced is mithya. And Shankaracharya says, you are that Satyam, Tat Tvamasi, that Sakshi Chaitanyam. You are neither the dreamer nor the waker. You are the super waker. Therefore, he says, Tasmat. Tasmat means since everything experienced is mithya, therefore, Tat Tvamasi. Tvam, you, Tat Asi, are the experiencer. You are that Brahman, the super waker. And therefore, in Kathopanishad, it ordains Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. May you wake up, may you get up. Why wake up and get up? Because otherwise, between waking up and getting up, there is a gap. That is when you keep rolling in the bed, or some people wake up, take the cell phone, and then they will go on seeing all the messages which has come. Twilight stage kind of a thing. So if you are not, if you are not wake up, if you have not got up and you have not woken up to the knowledge, it will remain half cooked. So therefore, may you wake up completely. And this is a very famous quotation of Swami Vivekananda. Arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached. That's the general translation. So this in that quotation of Swami Vivekananda, this arise and awake is taken from Kathopanishad. And the next sentence in Kathopanishad is Prapya Varan Nibhodata. How to wake up? In normal sleep, waking up automatically happens. It is triggered by prarabdha karma. But super waking doesn't automatically happen. Therefore, Upanishad says, Varan Prapya. Varan means Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam Gurum Prapya. Tat Vijnanartam Sa Gurumeva Bhigachata. Mundaka Upanishad says, go to a guru, Nibhodata, learn from him and wake up. Just adding, Katha Upanishad. So when we say super veka, that is what the Katha Upanishad is addressing. You are a veka. From that, you become a super veka. May you wake up to that nature of yours. And who is the super waker? Sakshi Chaitanyam Brahman. What type of Brahman? The fourth line of the sloka is repetition of the fourth line of the previous sloka, describing what type of Brahman it is. So I need not, explain again. Prashantam, Amalam, Madhvayam, Brahma, Yadparam, all that last 81st sloka we have seen. That great Brahman, Tvamasi, you are that. Thus, the summary of Mandukya Vaitatya Prakaranam, summary of Sadvidya Prakaranam of Chandogya, Shankaracharya gives in these two slokas. Total condensation of the teachings of Chandogya and Mandukya Karika. And he concludes his Vedantic teaching. So with this, the third extension is also complete. You must remember what are we discussing, where we started. Right? Consolidation of the entire teaching is complete. Thus, going back, all the 7 questions raised by the student have been answered. What are the 7 questions? Anybody remembers? को नाम बंध है, कथमेश आगत है, कथम प्रतिष्ठास्य कथम विमोक्ष है, कोसौवनात्मा परमक आत्मा तयोर विवेक है, कथमेदुच्यताम्. So the 7 questions related to the 7 topics covered in the text. So 7 answers plus 3 extensions. Totally 7 plus 3, 10 topics we have seen from verses 26 to 82. And these 10 topics are the gist of entire Vedanta. What we have now gone through is classical Vedanta, an extract, the essence of all Upanishads. It is this teaching we are trying to receive through the spiritual sadhana called Jnana Yoga. So what is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is the reception of this particular knowledge which has to culminate in what? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. And these three also will be reduced to two, because Brahman and Jiva are one and the same. So we can say Aham Satyam Jagan Mithya. Aham Satyam Brahma Jagan Mithya. I am the only reality. Everything else is unreal, meant just for my entertainment and engagement. Everything is like a movie, a film. I create the movie regularly. I project. I enter the theater. I enjoy. Project, enter, enjoy. This is the Jnani slogan every day. I resolve during sleep. Next day is another movie. Like, these days people watch movies in Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. A Jnani says, I don't have all those Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. But for me, this entire Jagat is like a movie. Every day it's a new movie. Aham Satyam Jagan Mithya, he says. And this is the Jnana Yoga teaching. So, a student can assess himself. Am I ready for this Jnana Yoga? If you are ready, you will enjoy this. Feel like entering more into that. With more commitment and dedication, more pursuit, you will do. You will feel up to that. You will feel that it is my cup of tea. I have arrived. I feel at home with this knowledge. But then there are many people who feel this Jnana Yoga is too much. It is far away from me. Nothing wrong if one feels so. It only indicates that the qualification, the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti part, there is some deficiency. In fact, many students, initially when they learn about sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, they say, I don't have sadhana chatushtaya sampatti itself. Again, nothing wrong. The goal is not Jnana Yoga. Goal becomes what? Attaining sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. So we have to switch the goal post from Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha to Jnana Sadhanani. Focus more on Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga with low-key exposure to Jnana Yoga. So that we are always, we know that such a thing is there. And for that, ideal text for that exercise is Bhagavad Gita. Because that is what will apply to most of the people. I would even go to the extent of saying 99% of the people who enter Vedanta for the first time. And that is why, Swami Chinmayananda popularized Bhagavad Gita study through his Gita Jnana Yajnas. He created institutions, trained brahmacharis and swamis, because he felt that Bhagavad Gita is the ideal text for majority of the people. The Gita has got lot of karma yoga, lot of upasana yoga. A person can concentrate and regularly check what is one's level of viveka and vairagya. And the most interesting thing is, as even our sadhana chatushtaya sampatti improves, we will find that our samsara, especially the emotional samsara problems and worries, are coming down. It's an automatic process. Fear will come down. We need not even go up to Advaita Jnanam and all. Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, gaining that wealth itself will give a huge relief from samsara. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is a very ideal text for all these things. Bhagavad Gita gives doses of Jnana Yoga also, Karma Yoga also, Upasana Yoga also, everything. It's a sort of a, one manual for entire spirituality. That's why Swamiji is like Chinmayananda, Dayananda Saraswati and all emphasized a lot on study of Bhagavad Gita, and especially in the Gurukulams and ashramas. Bhagavad Gita is taught with Adi Shankara's Bhashyam. Shankara Bhashyam, it is taught. You go deep into that Bhagavad Gita. Of course, that does not mean that if you feel that you do not have sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, from tomorrow you stop attending these classes. We can, without stopping with these studies, try to follow the lifestyle prescribed in the Gita. Lord Krishna talks about many values also. In fact, Swami Paramarthananda ji talks about 5 topics, which is the content of all Vedantic scriptures. All scriptures contain 5 topics: Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti. Mind you, not Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti and Sadguna hai. Karma Yoga, we all know what is Karma Yoga: proper action, proper attitude. We have discussed this at length. Upasana Yoga means meditation on Ishvara, both as Ishtadevata and Vishwarupa Ishvara. As Pujya Swamiji says, bring more and more Ishvara into your life. And Upasana Yoga is the sadhana for that. Concentrate on that. So Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga. Third one is Jnana Yoga. You need not specialize in Jnana Yoga if you do not feel up to it. But you can have a low-key exposure to that which is there in the Gita. In fact, according to Shankaracharya, he looks upon that Gita as the Bhagavad Gita as Jnana Yoga Pradhana. The Bhagavad Gita is a moksha text for moksha. That is how Adi Shankara looks at Bhagavad Gita. But of course, as I said, Gita contains both Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga also. Then Bhakti. We don't call Bhakti Yoga as a separate yoga because Bhakti is a faculty, a mindset required for all 3 yogas. A Karma Yogi also must be basically a Bhakta. If he has to meaningfully follow Ishwararpana Bhavana and Prasada Bhavana. Upasana Yoga also requires Bhakti because it is meditation on Ishvara, Ekarupa Ishvara, Vishwarupa Ishvara. Even Jnani Bhakti also. Krishna talks about 4 types of Bhaktas. Artha Bhakta, Artharthi Bhakta, Jignasu Bhakta and Jnani Bhakta. So even when you have become a super waker, the Bhakti should be there. It is always there because Bhakti is an attitude. So from Ekarupa Bhakti, you move over to Vishwarupa Bhakti and then you move over to Arupa Bhakti. What is Arupa Bhakti? Bhakti towards, reverence towards all the teachings of the scriptures. And that is what a Jnani's Bhakti is all about. Therefore, without Bhakti, I cannot meditate on God in Upasana Yoga. And as I said, Jnana Yoga is exposure to the teaching of Bhagavan, and bhakti is required there also. My concentration comes from Bhagavan or shifted from Bhagavan to Bhagavan's teaching. That is the only, when we talk of Arupa Bhakti, from a name and form which we use in Upasana Yoga, when we move to Jnana Yoga, we move to the teaching of Bhagavan. So as a Karma Yogi and Upasana Yogi, I depend more and more on God. As a Jnana Yogi, I learn to depend on Bhagavan's teachings. And once I get the teaching and internalize the teaching, I transit from dependence on Bhagavan to self-dependence. Even in self-dependence, I am a bhakta, using the teaching of Bhagavan. The Jnani always remembers that this teaching, this knowledge has come from Veda. Veda comes from Bhagavan. Thus, the Karma Yogi, Upasana Yogi depend on God. A Jnana Yogi depends on God's teaching. And both dependence requires Shraddha. One is Shraddha in God, another is Shraddha in God's teaching. And Shraddha and Bhakti always go together. They are not separate. So a Jnani, when you get the knowledge, you realize that Jnanam can save me from my problems. Even for emotional problems, I depend on the teaching. I don't run to God. Whenever I have problems in life, I don't run to God. I don't run to astrologers saying, save me. But I run to God's teaching. Because this jnanam can remove both emotional samsara and intellectual samsara. That is the ultimate goal. World dependence to God dependence to self-dependence. Self-knowledge dependence. Therefore, we should ask, reflect, should my life be Jnana Yoga Pradhana life or keeping Jnana Yoga as a low-key affair? Should I dedicate my life to Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga Pradhana life? And as I said, Bhagavad Gita deals with all these things. So if you want to lead a Jnana Yoga Pradhana life, you should study both. You can enter into Upanishad, enter into Brahma Sutra more and more, because Jnanam requires greater and greater commitment. Jnanam, obtaining this self-knowledge, is not a part-time job. You can do Bhagavad Gita study as a part-time job. No problem, provided you are able to maintain the continuity. You are able to relate throughout to the teaching. But Jnana Yoga is not like that. It requires total dedication. Inquisitiveness, what more should be there. So that completes the 82nd sloka in our selection. And with this sloka, the teaching part is completed. And the next topic in our selection is what? Jnana Phalam, fruit of knowledge of oneness. But before that, in the original text, Adi Shankara deals with the topic of Nididhyasana. Therefore, before proceeding further to the topic of Jnana Phalam, we will briefly revise what we have studied so far and also sort of peep into the topic of Nididhyasana. You know, in dramas and films and all that, they have called what is called relief scenes, right? Relief scenes, yeah. After an intense emotional scene, when the viewers, audience are totally charged, emotionally charged, psychologists say that this relief is very much necessary to prevent any mental breakdown due to the intense emotional scenes. That's why, after an intense emotional scene or even a fighting scene for that matter, because some of the fight between the hero and the villain can be very emotional also. So they will introduce a song or some comic scene, etc., in order to balance that emotional upheaval, to bring down that emotional upheaval. And here, of course, instead of emotional scene, the last few classes, culminating with slokas 81 and 82, have been an intellectual challenge. I am sure you will all agree with me, and I have warned you also before. Therefore, I felt that it would be useful to have a similar relief. And I feel that this revision of the teaching so far will provide that relief before we go into that Jnana Phalam topic. So, as I said, in Sloka 82, the teaching part is complete, covering 10 topics. The answers to the students' 7 questions were given first. Thereafter, we discussed 3 extensions dealing with the analysis of Tvam Padartha, Tat Padartha, and Asi Padartha in the Tattvamasi Mahavakya. So, with these 10 topics, the main teaching of Vedanta is complete. And this, as I said, this is the essence of all Upanishads. And it is this knowledge that is going to give liberation. And therefore, pursuit of this knowledge called Jnana Yoga is the primary sadhana. And every spiritual seeker has to come to this Jnana Yoga at one time or the other. And as I said, if a seeker feels that he is not ready for it, he can take to Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Bhakti, and Sadguna, values, etc. Therefore, a junior spiritual seeker can focus on the Gita, going through the entire Bhagavad Gita repeatedly and following the Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga sadhanas. Bhakti can be used for acquiring the qualifications instead of practicing Artha Bhakti and Artharthi Bhakti, which are meant for worldly purposes. The spiritual seeker can focus on Jinyasu Bhakti, where he or she asks for Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. Kenopanishad, there's a Shanti mantra. Tadatmani nirateya Upanishadsu dharmas te mayi santo te mayi santo. O Lord, increase my sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Let me become fit for Jnana Yoga. Let me develop interest in Vedantic study. If this approach is followed for some time, definitely there will be desire for Vedantic study. And Bhagavan will give opportunities also. He will send a guru in your path, an appropriate guru. Then the person can enter Jnana Yoga with the help and guidance of that guru. And Jnana Yoga itself consists of 3 exercises in the form of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. All this we have seen. I'm just, summarizing the whole teaching. And then we will talk about Nididhyasanam also. So Shravanam is consistent and systematic study of Vedantic scriptures for a length of time under a competent guru. This is the classic definition of Shravanam. Some of these, whatever you have to learn, scriptures, the guru will choose them for you in some particular order. Because even in Vedanta teaching, one needs to follow an order for teaching. You cannot start with Brahma Sutra without knowing anything about Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and even Prakarana Granthas like Vivekachudamani or Tattva Bodha, etc. So a systematic study of scriptures means according to a particular curriculum designed by the Guru. And it should be done for a length of time and not self-study under a guidance of a competent Acharya. That combination will help one gather the knowledge of all these 10 topics very, very clearly. So gaining knowledge and removing ignorance is the aim of Shravanam. Shravanena Ajnana Nivrittihi. The second exercise is Mananam, which is the removal of all doubts. One should ask one's intellect whether it is entirely convinced of this teaching or are there any lingering doubts, especially regarding the three cardinal principles. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahma Eva Naparaha. One should not have any doubts regarding these three principles. Because doubtful knowledge is as good as no knowledge. Doubtful knowledge is no different from ignorance. In fact, the doubtful knowledge can cause problems. Of course, it cannot liberate also. So, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya must be doubtless. Finally, and most importantly, the Mahavakyam, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, that is Aham Brahmasmi. I should not have even an iota of doubt about this. I should not put Aham Brahmasmi within inverted commas and say, so says my Guru. So says Shastra. That means you are not convinced about it. You are just quoting your Guru or Shastra. That is not what it means. Aham Brahmasmi must be my knowledge, my conviction. I must be able to take this statement and mean it from my innermost heart. That is called doubtless knowledge. So the process of Mananam is of removing doubts. And there are so many Vedantic texts which specialize in doubt removal. And doubts can be of different types. One type is interpretational doubts. It's called Pramana Asambhavana. Interpretational doubts. Because there are different interpretations of the Upanishad itself. Rather. We study Upanishads with Shankara Bhashyam, but then there are Ramanujacharya's Bhashyam. There is a interpretation given by Visishta Dvaitam, Dvaitam, etc. Therefore, one can get a doubt whether my interpretation is right or is Adi Shankara twisting the words in order to come up with the interpretations which he wants. This is actually one allegation against Adi Shankara. Other acharyas say Adi Shankara talks in two tongues. Whenever he wants, he will say this. Whenever he wants to say opposite, he will say that also. And he will justify both. So one needs to go through all these things, which are pramana, asambhavana, and get doubtless knowledge. I agree with what Visishta Dvaitam says in this particular case. I agree with what Adi Shankara says in this case. So your intellect should come into play and you must be able to get that doubtless knowledge. The Brahma Sutra, especially its entire first chapter, focuses on pramana, asambhavana, nivrittihi only. And Shankaracharya, through his Bhashyam, removes all doubts regarding Advaitic interpretations. A second type of doubt could be logical doubts. Prameya Asambhavana. One can get any number of logical doubts, especially if one has an active intellect, a rational intellect, a thinking intellect. And Brahma Sutra, second chapter, is dedicated to removal of Prameya Asambhavana. All logical doubts a normal intellect can raise are resolved. Or even special doubts or objections raised by other schools of philosophy like Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, etc., or even theological systems like Shaiva, Vaishnava, and all. Shankaracharya thoroughly analyzes that, removes all possible logical doubts in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Therefore, to clear doubts, we may require study of many texts, or we may have to discuss them with our Guru also. By one method or the other, we should remove the doubts from our intellect. We need not bother about others' intellect. One's own intellect should be totally convinced. So prajna should be converted into sthira prajna or sthita prajna. So Shravanam and Mananam, they give doubtless knowledge. Samshaya Rahita Jnana. Then comes the third exercise called Nididhyasa. And this is extremely important. Because Nididhyasanam alone removes the blockages or obstacles between Jnanam and Jnana Phalam. And this obstacle is called Viparita Bhavana. Our habitual thinking process is called Viparita Bhavana. It is called Viparitam because it is against the Vedantic teaching that I have received. So as long as Viparita Bhavana is there, Jnanam will be there. But Jnana Phalam of Jivan Mukti, peace, joy, etc., I will not be able to derive. That is why what happens is, if you have been studying Vedanta for quite some time, Bhagavad Gita, etc., your family will criticize you. There no change has taken place in you. You are the same. What is the use of studying all these things for so many years? And they are right. Because you have not gone through Nididhyasanam, you have not dealt with the issue of obstacles, issue of Viparita Bhavana. Only when you go through that will you get the Jnana Phalam. That is why people also say, I have only intellectual knowledge. Swami Paramarthanandaji compares it like having water in the overhead tank. But in the tap, no water will flow. That means what? There is some blockage in the line, water line, pipeline. Therefore, if I have to come to Jnanam, to Jnana Phalam, Nididhyasanam becomes extremely important. And in fact, Adi Shankara in Vivekachudamani devotes more than 150 verses to Nididhyasana. Imagine the importance that he gives to Nididhyasana. And then only he follows with Jnana Phalam topic. As I said in the previous class, after verse 252, the topic of Nididhyasanam comes, which is our, I think, verse number 82. And that 150 verses, Swami Paramarthanandaji has not included in his selection. Because if he had included that, the selected verses could not have been restricted to 108 verses. It would have become huge. Instead, then you can teach the whole Vivekachudamani itself. But that was not the mandate which was given to Swami Paramathananda ji from Swami Dayananda Saraswati. He said, select 108 verses. Because this is not the first and last text. Let it be introduction. What is more important for beginners, students at the beginning is Shravanam and Mananam. In fact, Shravanam is most important. So they focused on that and felt that at later stage, when the student becomes committed to the study, certainly he will be studying Nididhyasanam also. So after that, I think the next sloka we are going to see is sloka number 428. From 252 or 254, it jumped to 428. In fact, 173 verses or so Shankaracharya is devoted to Nididhyasana. So those 173 verses are important, but we are not going to cover that. But we will see what Nididhyasanam is, get introduced to that. Some aspects of Nididhyasanam we will see. So Nididhyasanam means basically Vedantic meditation. Whenever we talk of meditation, in general terms, we talk of sitting in one place, closing our eyes and all that, like 6th chapter Krishna will talk about in Bhagavad Gita. And then have an alambana and then meditate on that. The word Nididhyasanam itself is derived from the root, verbal root dhyai, dhyayati, with the prefix ni. That's Sanskrit students know. Nidhyayati means deeply meditates. And its desiderative form is Nididhyasana. Or you can, it's all Sanskrit, so you need not bother about these things. And it is, Nididhyasana means repeat, it is that thought which is practiced is reinforced or repeated. Therefore, this Vedantic meditation is different from Upasana. In Upasana Yoga, I meditate upon Saguna Ishvara, Ishta Devata and Vishwarupa Dhyanam. It is Dvaita Dhyanam, Saguna Dhyanam. It is meant to prepare the mind. Whereas Nididhyasanam is dwelling on the Vedantic teaching, assuming that we have gone through Shravana Mananam. We have now come to Nididhyasanam. And therefore, Nididhyasanam will be relevant only after doing Shravanam Mananam for a reasonable length of time. I use the word reasonable because different students will require different duration of time for gaining conviction. There are some who will never get conviction. Even that causes Guru also becomes helpless. Guru can only pray and bless the students. Therefore, we use the word reasonable length of time. Until intellectual conviction comes with regard to these 10 topics which we have dealt with, especially the 3 cardinal principles, one will not be ready for Nididhyasanam. One must have full conviction of Aham Brahmasmi Mahavakyam. Then only one becomes eligible for Nididhyasanam. We will continue in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha everyone. Thank you.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
हरि ओम गुरुजी. धन्यवाद.
Dhanyavadaha. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Guruji, I have a few questions. Is it okay to?
Yeah.
All
This
right.
session is meant for questions only.
Again, I'm not present in the previous class, Guruji, but then I did listen to the session completely, and one or two doubts that keep lingering again and again, even though after you have clarified. Am I audible, Guruji, properly?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. In the earlier verses, I'm finding it a bit contradictory in the sense in the earlier verses, the shlokas explain they make the distinction between the Atma and the Anatma. And then the progression happens, and then except Nirguna, Nirakara, Arupa Brahma, everything else is Anatma. Right. So if I understood rightly, and then only when with the combination when united with Maya, it becomes Ishvara and then creates everything, and that's got a where the Nama Rupa and the action takes place. Now, so at one end of the spectrum is where a clear distinction is made between Atma and Anatma, but in the last 2 or 3 shlokas, or even the previous shlokas also, the Acharya arrives at saying that you are Brahman, that even the Anatma is Brahman, in the sense no, Guruji, if I understood the examples correctly about the gold and the ornament, and the iron and the different instruments, and the clay and the pot. So yes, they have temporary existence. Whatever is made out of them, they have temporary existence, but then still the karana is still there in them, right? And only when something is made out of them, it becomes useful. Otherwise, just the sattva itself, the sattva in this case, one case it's gold, in another case it is loha, that is iron, and in another case it is clay. Just the sattva itself is it has no ETU value. So for it to be of ETU value, it has to have some form, and that form also has the originality in that. So everything is Brahman, is what I have understood that. So why initially the distinction that Atma is different from Anatma, and here at the other end of the spectrum, everything is Brahman, because everything has come out of Brahman and everything is created by Brahman, so everything is Brahman. So if this is the case, why the distinction was made earlier about the Atma and Anatma?
I think,
I'm not sure if my question is clear, Guruji.
Yeah, your question is clear. See, it's very simple, actually. Earlier, we talked about Atma and Anatma with reference to the body, mind, sense complex. We said there is a Atma, there is a Anatma. Everything other than the Atma, which is pure consciousness, is Anatma. If we define Atma as pure consciousness, how will we define Anatma? Everything other than pure consciousness is Anatma. Correct? Am I making myself clear? It's very simple.
Yes, Guruji. I mean, that explanation was clear even then, it's clear even now.
Good. No, I'll take you step by step. Now, that was with reference to the question, what is Atma, what is Anatma, and all the student asked.
Right.
Now, the same thing extended to Brahman and Jagat. Brahman is pure consciousness.
Yes, Guruji.
The entire Jagat is the product of that.
Yes, Guruji.
With Maya Shakti, combined Maya Shakti, product of that. So, if you equate Brahman with Atma, if you take Brahman is equal to Atma, then what happens? The world becomes Anatma. Correct?
Yes, Guruji.
So, at the individual level, we talk about Atma, Anatma. At the total level, at the macro level, we talk about Brahman and Jagat. Same relationship, Atma, Anatma. At the individual level, all the Anatma, body, mind, sense complex, they borrow their functionality, reality, or ETU, as you said, for performance of that ETU, from where they borrow the reality? Their reality they borrow from Atma. Atma is the one which is powering this body, mind, sense complex for us to carry out all transactions. If you take the example of a pot or a lid or a cup which has got ETU, what is the reality of that pot?
Clay.
If you remove clay from that pot, intellectually, you cannot remove the clay physically, correct? Suppose you remove clay from that pot, will the pot exist? It will not.
No, Guruji.
So, if you remove Brahman from this world, the world will not exist. That means what? The world is dependent on Brahman for its existence. Like the pot is dependent on clay for its existence. Like the ornaments are dependent upon the gold for their existence. So
Yes,
what
sir.
then happens? You come to the conclusion that what is reality? And remember, you must always remember the definition of reality.
Which there are all the three colors.
Yeah. So that Trikaleyapi Tishtati, that you must not forget. Because in English, when we say real and all that, the meaning is totally different. Meaning is we take everything which is transactable, like you said, which is experienceable as real.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes, good.
But what Vedanta is saying is, if you experience, it is not real. So this is the statement of Vedanta. What is experienced is not real. What you don't experience is the reality.
Right. Okay.
So Brahman and Atma we cannot experience. Why? Because it is not an object of experience. Brahman and Atma are the very subject of experience. Experiencer.
Okay.
So when the experiencer you are, or Brahman is, Sakshi Chaitanyam you are not the experienced, you are not the object, you are the very subject. So the subject is the reality because subject is there in all three periods of time. Object come and go. Today one object is there. Tomorrow in its place another object may be there with the same content. Right? Today you have got a pot with clay pot. Tomorrow the same pot can be converted into some other earthenware. The clay will remain the same. Even the quantity of clay will remain the same. It will not undergo a change if you don't add or reduce. So this is what we have to understand as the relationship between Brahman and the world on the one hand and Atma and Anatma on the other hand. So there is no conflict as such. Okay. If we feel that if we find there is a conflict, we have to think more. We have to analyze it more to understand that there is no conflict. On the face of it, I agree with you that it may appear in fact, not only this, So many concepts of Advaita Vedanta will be appear to be conflicting, contradictory, and all that.
Yeah.
But if you apply your mind, analyze the whole thing, and have the big picture in your mind, what is real, what is unreal, what is satyam, what is mithya, etc., then all these Upanishad Vakyams will start making sense. And that is the process of manana. If you can't do it yourself, take the help of acharyas, help of books, help of other texts for this. That is how you come to that conclusion. I don't know whether I have been able to clarify what doubt you have.
No, yeah, no, yes, very much so, Guruji. Because this is, as you have said in the beginning itself, this is of the PhD level, where you're arriving at the clarity of so many definitions or the formulae. So it's not a very, very basic thing. So it is, yes, Guruji, you have clarified. Thank you very much. I had one more doubt, but which got clarified during today's session, because
Okay.
my thing was that I create my dream world, but then as a waker, I create my dream world. But as a super waker, also I create my world is something I was not able to digest. But then I create my dream world with the help of the power of the sleep. But then as a super waker, I create not I, as whoever creates a super waker, whoever is a super waker, they create their, for them, this universe is a dream. And that happens because of the avidya, Maya, is what you're saying. Have I understood right?
Yeah. It's a projection. They will understand. When you become a jnani, you will understand the whole world is projection.
Yeah.
And it is me who has created. Me means what? Not the me, not
the me.
Dayanand Saraswati or Paramarthananda. Me, the Brahman. I am the Brahman. So Brahman has created this with Maya Shakti.
Yeah.
So when I equate myself with Brahman, then I say I create the world.
So only a super waker can say that.
Only super waker can say that.
Yeah.
You and me cannot say at this stage.
To even imagine that.
Exactly.
Very difficult.
And that is the depth of Vedanta teaching,
Yeah.
That is what is moksha is all about. That is what raises your level to the creator state, creator of the whole world. Once you are the creator of the whole world, then you are what? You are free. Nothing is going to bother you. Nothing is going to disturb you. You will have ananda, ananda, and ananda only. You will be playing around. This is like a, Nandavanam. Just play around. It's all for entertainment. As I gave the example. Dream also is for entertainment for the waker. Isn't it? The dream world we create for our entertainment during sleep. What to do during sleep? During waking hours, we have got all these other things, laptop, the mobile phone for our entertainment. During sleep, we don't have access. So we create our own world and then get entertained through that. That is how it is all. We have to understand. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Hariom. Yes, I think Sulekha ji came first. If I'm not wrong.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste ji.
I have a question regarding the definitions of bhakti and shraddha.
Shraddha.
Shraddha, sorry, excuse me. Could you just briefly give the definitions again? And are they on a continuum? Are both necessary at the same time? Does one lead to the other? Or what is the relationship between the two?
See, Shraddha means, you can roughly translate it as faith. Okay, for our purposes right now, because Shraddha is deeper than faith. Right? But Shraddha, yes, you can translate as faith. Once you have got faith in something, you will develop a reverence towards that. When you say, I respect my father, respect my mother, that is because why do you say that? Because you have developed a faith over your growing up, say you have developed a faith in them, that when I am there, when they are there, I need not have any worry. I am fearless. I am worryless. So both of them go together. But if you say Shraddha is the first stage and Bhakti follows. Once you have Shraddha, Bhakti follows. That is why, even when we talk of Vedantic scriptures, etc., Shraddha in Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti is emphasized. You must have that Shraddha in the Vedantic scriptures. Then only that Jnani Bhakti and, Jignasu Bhakti will come. If you are dismissing the scriptures are all some imagination of some stupid fellow who had no other job to do, just because he knew Sanskrit very well, he wrote all this nonsense. If you have that attitude, you will never even go to the Bhakti stage at all. So basically, Shraddha and Bhakti, they go together. If you have Shraddha, you will have Bhakti. You cannot have Shraddha without Bhakti. Bhakti follows, necessarily Bhakti follows Shraddha. That's how we have to understand. Okay?
Yes, thank you. I have one more question, if it's okay with Sitaramji.
Yeah,
please go ahead. I have nothing else to do except listen.
Go ahead.
Thank you. My question is around, you had talked in today's class and earlier classes around the change in action or in one's own transactions. It can't happen if you are just for example, just listening. You must contemplate on the teachings, not just listen. And listening in itself is getting exposure first to the teachings and then contemplating on the teachings deeply in order for it to enter the subconscious. I think, is that correct in my understanding?
Correct, but there is one rider I will add, that teaching should be doubtless, that knowledge which you gain through teaching should become doubtless knowledge. You must be convinced about that. Then only you should go to the next stage. Because if you are not convinced, there is no point in going to the next stage and just contemplating. Right?
Right. So to get to the contemplation stage, or to clear one's doubts of the teachings, we ask questions, we ask for clarification. Sometimes we will maybe even go back and listen to the teachings and then and have the full, let's say the full bhakti and shraddha for that in order for it to enter into that second stage, correct?
No, Bhakti and Shraddha should be the first thing for you to even enter into the learning stage, Shravanam stage. Then at the end of the Shravanam stage, or even during the course of the Shravanam stage, you may get a lot of doubts. Like this is saying, like this here, this Upanishad is saying, some other place something else is said, this Acharya is saying that. And many times, this is the problem most of the Advaitin seekers, Advaita seekers, they face. If you read the commentaries of Ramanujacharya, which is Visishta Advaitam, in fact, Visishta Advaitam, if you read it, very convincing. The arguments put forth there are very convincing. They dismiss this thing that Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, they dismiss. They say it cannot be, you cannot equate God with me. That is there, this thing, God is different from me. Once you start with that premise, then most of the things you will dismiss. The whole, this thing, Advaita Vedanta stands on the principle of whatever examples that we are quoting, that what is the real essence of this entire world, of this transactional world, what is the essence, what is my essential nature. That is where Advaita Vedanta, and it says that what is the essence of this entire world is no different from my own essence. My essential nature and the essential nature of this entire world is one and the same. which Visishta Advaita says no. But Dvaitam says totally no. But Visishta Advaitam says you cannot say that they are same. You can say that your essential nature is a part of the essential nature of the whole world. Right? So that's why it is called Visishta Advaitam, qualified non-duality. They are not totally rejecting the oneness, but they are not totally accepting the oneness also. So when you read all those things, lot of doubts will come in your mind. Some of the other arguments will appear to be more convincing than the arguments which you come across in Vedanta, Advaita, in our study itself. And that is why that you have to go, like Brahma Sutra is one of the very excellent texts for Mananam. Okay. So you must go through Brahma Sutra. Then only when you get complete conviction, yes, this is what is correct interpretation. There cannot be any other interpretation. If any other interpretation is there, that interpretation will suffer from certain defects. In fact, in Brahma Sutra, Bhashyam Adi Shankara itself points out all these defects which the other, theologians put forward. He says, you guys are saying this here and saying that there. You yourself are contradicting yourself. You stick to one stand and then I will answer that. You cannot say one thing now and when I contradict that, then you say, no, that is not like that. It is like this. You say you yourself are contradicting what you are saying. So it's a very, very involved, deep study for Mananam. Brahma Sutra is one of the except there are other texts also Acharyas have written, but Brahma Sutra is one of the most very important texts which is prescribed. And Brahma Sutra study itself could take you 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Even if you do daily study, because there are 555 sutras. For one sutra, you will require 15 days. That much material is there in terms of arguments, counter arguments, dismissals, admissions, contradictory, versions. So it's a very, very deep. You have to go deep into that. We are only at the first stage of Shravanam. What is there? We are just like, we are to put it. We are doing window shopping. We are doing now. We have not even entered the store. Once you see in the window what all is there, then you say, okay, this I like, this I like. Then you enter the store. Then later on, you will go and try it out and whether this fits me, selects a few dresses, whether this fits me and all that, and you will come out very happy. Oh, this dress is beautiful. The storekeeper also will say, this is excellent, looks excellent on you. So this is a whole process that we have to go through. Right now, we are only doing window shopping, looking all that what is there displayed. That is the stage of Shravana. That's what we are getting.
Right.
In order to
Thank you.
everything into practice, it will take a lot of time, lot of effort, lot of commitment. Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji. I appreciate that, and even the examples you give many times.
Sometimes it comes on my mind. Okay.
I appreciate it.
When we look around, we can ourselves think of so many examples. The thing is, we must trigger our mind. Okay, what is the example? Like that the copy example of Paramatmananda Ji which I shared is a beautiful example. For the knowledge to get completely assimilated in the subconscious level, unless that happens, the jnana phalam will not come at all. We cannot say, oh, 3 years I did Shravanam, 2 years Mananam, now I want jnana phalam. Without Nididhyasanam, it will not come. Nididhyasanam is meant for that. And the beauty is we are discussing the similar topics both in Bhagavad Gita and here. So it is sort of a reinforcing the teaching again and again and again. That is what I discovered, more or less we are going parallel in Gita and in this. Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji.
Okay,
Thank you. Very, very nicely explained.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Sitaram Ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
My question is supplementary to what Lataji asked.
Hmm.
Sum and substances, what we are experiencing in life is Mithya, and what we have not experienced is Brahman. And
What is
we have not
experienced is Mithya, what is not experienced. But we can't say it is not experienced.
No, and I'll just complete my question.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
what we have not experienced, we have not even realized what we have not experienced. How do you realize that? My question is that.
By,
How,
by
what you
gaining,
have not experienced.
by gaining knowledge and by applying logic, that what we are not experiencing, are we actually not experiencing, or are we experiencing and ignoring it?
Experiencing and not realizing it. Not
Not
knowing.
realizing it because we are ignoring it. See, the classic example I gave you was, what do you see?
The hand.
Hand, correct? If I ask you 100 times, you will say, I'm seeing a hand, I'm seeing a hand. But I will tell you, you are seeing something, you are experiencing something which you are not recognizing, you are not realizing. And what is that? The light which is following on the hand.
Yeah.
Because of which only you are able to see the hand. If there was total darkness, you won't be able to see the hand also.
Perfect.
So because of the light, but we will never realize that there is a light in addition to the hand. There are two things that we are experiencing. But because of our either ignorance or our, hand is more, what you can call, solidly visible, we ignore the light. But the reality of the hand, reality of seeing the hand is the light. Because of light only you are able to see the hand. That is what happens exactly in the world also. If the entire world we see as a functional world, we see my body, mind, sense complex is functioning, it is because of that consciousness only. So to understand that only, all this teaching is there.
So if I want, the light, of course, is essential, or any source of power is essential. So what is to be understood is our existence is because of a power which is not visible, and which is the Atma, which is the super consciousness.
I am that power.
Which is in me, which is within me.
Which is within my body, mind, sense complex, which is residing in my body, mind, sense complex. So moving away from I am the body, mind, sense complex to I am in the body, mind, sense complex is what it is all about.
Without getting egoistic. That also is very
Without getting egoistic. Correct. That is true. Because that is another very big drawback and blockage in this, Oh, if you know something of Vedanta, and you are sitting in a group with a group of people who know nothing, you will feel, oh, I am a very great guy. I know so much about Vedanta. All these fellows are ignorant people. Totally egoistic feeling. That also is that is the height of ignorance rather of Vedanta study. That is true, without being egoistic. That is,
it's a long journey ahead.
It is a long journey, but any long journey will not be completed unless you make a start. So we have made a start, let us keep going. And it depends, right? Because the distance between, let us say, India and the US is long. But you can traverse the distance in different modes of travel. You can travel by ship, you can travel by air, you can travel by, of course, train probably not. But you can go hop out to one country, another country and go. Every type of mode will take you, take different, time rather. Correct. So it depends upon how fast we want to reach. If we want to reach very fast, then we have to have all the wherewithal for traveling in that particular mode. Otherwise, even if you travel by ship also, you will reach. That's not a problem. But it will take its own time. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
So
Hari Om.
we will meet next week. Hari Om. Thank you.